Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. Grade 10 Civics. It's Tuesday, May the 12th. So, yesterday you had a tough one. We were looking at the political spectrum. It was like a 20-minute plus video. Promise I won't do that again to you today. Looking at the different isms from communism on the left to fascism on the right. Really important that you understand those concepts. If you take away nothing more from grade 10 civics years from now, if all you remember is that, you're in good shape. You're better off than most Canadians. Because if you understand how the political spectrum works, you understand what political parties really stand for. Because, of course, during elections, they try to make themselves all sound as good as possible. You have a much better sense of where they stand. And when you decide what your political philosophy is, it's easier for you then to match that up with one of our political parties. So today is sort of the second half of that lesson, don't worry, not quite so long, where we look at the main political parties in Canada and their party platforms. And this will inform your next Citizens Handbook writing assignment, number 3. Remember, the first one was practice. It was marijuana. Your official writing assignment number 1 was which form of government is best. Number 2, which some of you are still working on, that's okay. It's not due till tomorrow, where you were focusing on the issue of ancient Athens. Was it really a democracy? I've had some fantastic submissions. I marked a 4+ writing assignment yesterday arguing no way that was not a democracy. And another paper that was also outstanding arguing, yeah, it was. It really was a democracy. So you've got lots of latitude here. Make the case, lots of evidence, examples, your own personal views in there. Do that, get them in by tomorrow. So for today, I've uploaded right underneath this video today's lesson. So maybe pause it here and bring that up. It's called Political Parties of Canada, and then it says Party Platforms. It's a chart with our 6 main parties. You should have that in front of you as we go forward. So if you want to hit pause for a minute, I'll just do a little song and dance here while you bring that up, and then we'll be back to it. Dun, 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 dun. Alrighty, so we're back. So you take a look at that chart. We've got our 6 main parties across the top. It's a lot of parties. I think a good thing, more choices. If you're following American politics at all, they're in the middle of a presidential campaign. They've only got 2 political parties. It makes it tough for Americans when you only have 2 choices for president. They do have some smaller parties, but they're so small that they're not really significant. So what do you do? It looks like it's going to be Donald Trump and Joe Biden. What do you do if you don't like either of them? You got to pick one of them, or you just don't vote at all. In Canada, we have 6 political parties, all of which are legitimate, all of which have a chance, if some of them a chance to win, some of them maybe they won't win, but they can have influence in the House of Commons in Ottawa. So important. So I've created a chart here, and you'll notice a few blanks. Now, if you were in my classroom and this was like not a pandemic, you'd be spending hours on this because I'd be having you do all the research yourself, fill all this in, look through the most recent party platforms. Most of you are probably aware we had a federal election in October, like 6 months ago, where we re-elected Justin Trudeau as our prime minister. I'd let you do all of this, but of course we're under this 3-hour restriction and we have to get through things. So I have filled in almost all of it, but you will see some blanks near the top. Party leader and riding. I have filled in a few for you just as a sample. You're going to do the rest of this. And then I've got more work for you. So let's take a look here. Each of our major political parties has a national leader. Each of them would like to be prime minister. But then this next blank or column, it's not a column, it's a row, it says riding. We haven't talked about this yet. This is going to be a little challenging. We'll have a lesson on this. In Canada, we have divided the map up into 338 districts, or ridings as we call them. Each one of them elects a member of parliament to go to Ottawa to represent them. As we've talked about before, John Nader is our representative. He represents a riding called Perth-Wellington. Perth is Perth County, where we all live, and it also includes a part of northern Wellington County. If you've ever been up Arthur Way, Mount Forest, that's part of our riding. John Nader lives in Mitchell, born and raised. He represents all of us because your parents and I. He got more votes than anyone else, and so he is our representative again. What people don't always realize is that our national leaders also have their own little riding that they have to get elected from. So I filled in for the Liberal Party. Justin Trudeau is the national leader of the Liberal Party. He won the election, so he's also Prime Minister. He is also a member of Parliament from his own riding called Papineau. It's a north end of Montreal, very poor riding. If we had more time, I'd go into the story and how, I mean, he's a rich guy, he's a millionaire. How is it that he's representing such a poor neighborhood? Makes for an interesting story. But for our purposes, he is a member of Parliament. So if you live in the north end of Montreal and he's in your riding and you're trying to get a passport or you're trying to get your benefits under the pandemic, there are so many different plans and you're having trouble, or your grandparents are getting their old age pension and there's some problem with their pension, you would call your member of Parliament. If you're living in Stratford, you'd call John Nader's office. But if you live in the north end of Montreal, in the Papineau riding, you're actually calling your MP, Justin Trudeau. Now, you're not going to get him on the phone. He's got a staff, just as John Nader doesn't usually answer the phone here. He has a staff, but they represent those people. So to get into the House of Commons, you have to have your own riding. Now, I filled in one more. I wouldn't normally do that. The Green Party, Elizabeth May. She has led the Green Party for more than a decade. After the election in October, she announced she was stepping down as leader. Still going to be a member of Parliament from her riding. I'll let you do the research and find that. But she says it's time for a new leader. They have someone filling in temporarily, but they don't have a new national leader yet. So if I have you go researching that, you're going to get some incorrect information. So I filled that in for you. But for the rest of them, I want you to find them. Who is the national party leader for the NDP? The Bloc Québécois, the Conservatives, and the People's Party, and what is their riding? And then we'll look into that in a little more detail in a future lesson, how these ridings work. I've gone onto the party platforms for you to do some of the work. You're going to be doing this too a little bit, but I've done most of the legwork for you. What about taxes? And you can see here, if you overlap this handout with yesterday's, the political spectrum, these are in order. The NDP is on the left. They're socialist. We don't have any communist parties here. The People's Party is on the right. They're a conservative party. We don't have any fascist parties. All these other parties are in between. Some of them are quite similar. And so I've got them in the chart there for you. So you can see the NDP, the Greens, and the Bloc, they would like to see us raise taxes in this country, particularly on the wealthy. It would provide more funding so we could provide more services to everybody. And if you look under services then, they would all love to provide free prescription drugs for Canadians. We talked about this in yesterday's lesson. We don't do that in Canada. You need prescription medication. You've got to pay for that. And some Canadians can't afford it. Right? If you're poor and your doctor gives you, here's your prescription, go to the pharmacy, $80, $150, you might need to renew. Some Canadians just can't afford that. The NDP, the Green, the Bloc, they think, you know what? We should raise everybody's taxes, particularly the wealthy. Take that money and pay for everybody's prescription medication. Nobody wants to get sick. We should provide that for everyone. The Liberals, as you can see them, they talk about this it's called pharmacare. The Liberals have talked about it, but they haven't actually planned to do it. On the right, however, the Conservatives and the People's Party say no. No. you're responsible for your own bills, right? You got to save your money. You can't just, you got to save your money, put some money away so that a rainy day, so that when you do need something like prescription medication, you pay for it yourself. Don't look to the government or look to others to pay your bills for you. It's a different point of view. And so conservatives and People's Party want lower taxes, not higher taxes. Let people keep more of their own hard-earned money. They can set that aside for things like prescription medication or anything else they might need. The Liberals are kind of in the middle. They don't want to raise taxes, don't want to lower them. They're not going to provide too many new services, but they're not going to take services away. I put up a couple of examples. In my classroom, I'd have had you done a lot more. Looked at guns and the environment. The NDP, the Greens, the Blocs, and the Liberals, they want tougher gun policies. You see these shootings that take place sometimes. We got to have stricter laws. Automatic weapons, semi-automatic, handguns. We should have, yes, we do have stricter laws than the United States, but they should be stricter still. But if you're with the Conservatives or the People's Party, they're like, you know what? Responsible gun owners should be left alone. If you want to own a gun, own a home. I've got a neighbor. He's got lots of guns at home. It sometimes makes me nervous, but he's a responsible guy. And he says, you know what? It's the criminals you got to go after. Us law-abiding gun owners, leave us alone. The Conservative Party and the People's Party would agree with that. Where the environment is concerned, the NDP, the Greens, the Bloc, and even the Liberals, a little less so, but the Liberals, global warming is a serious concern. The carbon tax on gasoline. They all support adding taxes so that when we go to the pump, we pay more. Now, they don't want to punish people, but it's like, gasoline in cars, the exhaust, it adds CO2 to the atmosphere. It's bad for global warming. If you tax something, people buy less of it. It's to encourage people to not buy as much gas, carpool, walk, take the bus, buy an electric car. So they all say, you know what, if we make gas more expensive, gasoline, then people will use less of it. It's better for the environment. They are also against building new oil and gas pipelines for the same reason. But conservatives, on the other hand, and the People's Party say, no, this is just another tax on hard-working Canadians. Leave them alone. Particularly now, times are tough. We shouldn't be raising taxes. In fact, we should be cutting the gas tax, make it more affordable for people. And we need those oil and gas pipelines. We produce oil and gas in this country. We need to get more of it to market to make money for Canadians. It's jobs, it's royalties, more tax revenue for the government. So which of these makes the most sense to you? I'll also point out, I put a little asterisk by the Bloc Québécois. I put that down below. All of the other political parties run candidates everywhere. The five other parties that you see all had candidates here in Perth, Wellington. Your parents and I could choose from any of them. But the Bloc Québécois only runs candidates in Quebec. Now, it's odd. It's a regional party. We've had other regional parties. There used to be a party that only ran candidates in Western Canada. This one only runs in Quebec, and it's concerned with the interests of Quebec. That makes it a little bit different. They will work with the other political parties, but Quebec is their main focus. But as you can see here, they have a full slate of party platform issues. They do take a stand on these issues. They're not against Canada. They're quite happy to work with the other parties and for Canada as a whole to do well. They're just primarily concerned with their own province. All right, so your work today. And this is part of your notes. Fill in these party platforms. Who are these other party leaders? What are their ridings? Maybe just you've got this in front of you. You don't need to recreate it. Maybe send me a quick Google Doc. Just make your own little graph, perhaps. Party leaders and ridings for each of them. Just send them to me. I'll make any corrections. Send them back to you. But your Citizens Handbook writing assignment. This is number 3. It's actually the 4th one you've done, but the marijuana one was practice. It doesn't count. This is number 3, and I realize some of you are still finishing up number 2, but just to get you started, can you guess what the question is? Which political party here do you like the best? If you were old enough to vote, who would you probably vote for? Take a look. You got 6. Well, you don't have the Bloc Québécois here. So you got 5 choices. That's not bad. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to do some research. So choose the party you like best, or maybe there's a couple and you can't make up your mind. Go to their websites. They all have, and they're simple, liberalparty.ca, conservativeparty.ca, ndp.ca. They're not hard to find. I've got this filled out for you. Look at some of their other stands. And what do you think? What's their foreign policy? What's their policy on immigration? There are a whole host of other issues we haven't looked at here. Crime and punishment. What should the rules be? Find the part and do a little research. Try to keep an open mind and decide which of these political parties do you like the best. And then write me a Citizens Handbook writing assignment. 300 to 400 words. Tell me which party you like. Write in your opening paragraph. Give me your best reasons why, and then elaborate. Again, this is not a formal essay, but that format is helpful. They have 3 or 4 main points, and then give each of those main points a paragraph, and then summarize at the end. Now, we do have a long weekend coming up. So get it done before the weekend. You're not getting a break here. So this will be due next Wednesday, May the 20th. Citizens Handbook writing assignment number 3. Get it done when you can. And just to, not that we're really picking up the pace, but where have we got this? On Thursday morning, we technically have a time slot. I want you to work on this. But I'm going to send you a fun little practice. It's not even a practice quiz. It's a pre-quiz. 10 questions, multiple choice, true and false, just for fun. How much do you know about Canadian politics? Do you know who's eligible to vote and who's not? How does all that work? If you're in prison, do you get to vote? What if you live in Florida all year round? Do you get to vote? There's all these sorts of questions, and curious to see what you know. So I'm going to send this to you on Thursday. I'll just post it. I'm not sure if I'll have a video or not, but give that a try. Don't send that in to me. This is for fun. And then maybe for fun, bug your parents and say, hey, Mr. Fisher sent a quiz. Have your parents take the quiz. What do they know? It might be interesting. Compare how you do with them. And then early next week, maybe on Monday, I know it's a holiday, but I might post it on the Monday, the answers. And just for fun, you can score yourself. Your parents can score you. See how you do. And that'll inform our work going forward. All righty? So, I kept it under 20 minutes, just barely. So, citizens, get your number 2 Citizens Handbook done. Get that in by tomorrow. I'm going to try to be on top of them, get them back to you within 24 hours. And then work on this one. Get it in when you can. I'll get it back to you. Get ahead of the game if you can. And then we'll carry on next week. All the best to you. Stay well, stay healthy. Any questions, anything confusing in this video, please send me a question. I have gotten some clarification questions on some other things. Please feel free to do that. Any concerns you have, be in touch. All righty? Take care.